Hello and welcome to Dungeons and Dragon Wagon, the Rhyme or Reason, Chapter 3 Roundtable. This is a non-play episode, but I am here, your host, Jake Lloyd. I have just eaten 22 1/2 chicken McNuggets and drank an entire cup of coffee. So we're going to see how this goes. As always, I'm here with the gang. I'm going to start calling you guys the gang. I feel like that's kind of cute. I feel like we should all just get together at a coffee shop every now and then without calling each other. Yep. Just show up. Nobody pays a bill ever, like every sitcom ever.
Yeah.
To my left, it is Alexandra Hoy.
Hi.
It is Matthew Hinksman.
Hi.
And Paul Bianchi.
Hi.
We have a lot of stuff. We are going to have a conversation with a lovely young noble woman. A little bit later on in the show, we are going to give away a free 1-month classic subscription to Game Box Monthly. How could you possibly win a free 1-month subscription to Game Box Monthly, Paul?
Tell us how, Jake.
By leaving a rating or a review. No, a rating and a review. By leaving a rating and a review on iTunes for us here at Dungeons and Dragon Wagon, you are automatically entered to win a free 1-month classic subscription to Game Box Monthly. All you gotta do is do it and then listen to these roundtables and find out if you won. But we're gonna
sounds so easy.
Save that in our pocket, and we're gonna.
It must be a
later.
trick if it's so easy.
It's not a trick. Don't tell people it's a trick. But before we get into any of that, guys, we did it. It took us 6 episodes, 3 chapters. We leveled up.
Yeah.
Woo!
After saving Idyllwyl and Fierro and Guy Fierro,
Yay!
we have achieved level 2.
Yeah, you guys are level 2 now.
We did it. So what do we do there, Captain?
Oh, well, all of you.
Oh, Paul. Sorry.
You respond to Captain?
Yeah.
Leveling up grants all 3 of you party members plus 5 to your total HP.
Now, does that also mean that we are instantly healed?
You're also instantly healed.
Yes,
nice.
Thank God, because Junk has really been hurting.
You're hurting for a while.
Yeah, I'm gonna be nice and say that you're instantly healed.
I like that.
What a benevolent God.
Yeah, well, it just because sort of given where you are, it doesn't entirely make sense. I don't really buy it, but you can be healed. It's fine.
And you said it was plus 5?
Plus 5.
Sweet. That brings me to 21.
Was it hamster testicles that Junk likes to eat?
Yeah, that's what my mom always
That was
used to
what
cook
healed
with.
you.
You can allocate 2 more points towards skills, any skills of your desire.
Ooh.
Do we want to just increase the things that we already have since we, as a group,
We all
have everything
carefully
covered?
selected,
Yeah.
So maybe we should just increase things we have for sure.
Between the 4 of us, including Orny, we have every single skill covered in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Should we just lean into the ones that we've already chosen?
Yes.
Matt, am we gonna? Yeah, maybe? Or do you not want to do that? You want to run with something different?
Good question.
Does someone have acrobatics?
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. I think it's kind of cool that we're better at the things that we're good at rather than being like a little good at everything.
Yeah, well
that's
put.
smart.
All right. Well, how many did you say we have? 2 or 4?
2.
2? All right. Well, I'm honestly just going to put both of them into my acrobatics since that is the smallest of mine, bringing that to a 4 for me. And I have 3 in athletics and 5 in intimidation. What are you going to do, Adeline?
Well, I have a 1 in survival, a 1 in persuasion, 3 in perception, 3 in investigation, and a 2 in animal handling. I don't think there's a point in doing more animal handling.
No. I do think that you seem to be using your investigative skills
quite a bit. Okay, so I'm going to increase investigation to a 4, and
Campfire likes that.
What do you guys think? Add 1 to perception or add 1 to persuasion? Does anyone else have persuasive abilities?
Persuasion. We don't have. I have 1.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Yeah,
okay, so I'll add 1 to that.
Campfire.
Great.
Pod dog. Be nice. # Campfire Jones.
# teamwork.
I'm gonna increase my stealth and my sleight of hand.
Ooh.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Sneaky.
Sneaky little bastard.
You are a sneaky little bastard.
I like it.
All right, and finally, you have a decision to make about your special move. You can power up your existing special move to always do 50% more damage, or add another special move. and I have some move suggestions for each of you. Would you like me to tell you those?
I would love
I think
to
we
hear
should,
the
yeah,
suggestions.
I think we should exclusively pick out of those 2 suggestions.
Okay, for
Agreed.
sure. So Adeline, I have chain shot. Inspired by Idyllwyl, Adeline can now shoot arrows with chains attached. Upon a standard attack contact, she can pull the enemy towards her for an additional unarmed attack. You must pass a strength check for heavyweight enemies. Or pinning shot. A successful standard bow attack will pin an enemy to the ground, keeping them from advancing until they free themselves.
I'm actually going to go with pinning shot, as cool as the other one is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also, let me ask you this. Since she is not the super strong character, she actually has a surprising amount of strength that she rolled. But since that's super strong, will bringing a enemy towards her potentially be more detrimental because she then has to pass a strength test?
Yeah, and also as a ranged character, I don't know if
Right.
it's in your best interest to always bring a character towards you, but it could bring an enemy from afar towards the general group.
Right, sure.
But I think pinning shot will be really helpful.
And how does the enemy get out of the pin? Do they have to pass a check every
they have
turn?
to pass a check every turn to see if they pull themselves out.
I like that.
Yes.
That sounds good.
Love it.
For Mr. Junk, your
Mr.
How did you know my college
Mr.
nickname?
Junk, we have for you Armor Break. A successful standard attack will break an opponent's armor, weakening them for future attacks. Or we have Knockdown. A successful standard attack will knock an enemy down and leave it prone for easy attack until it is able to get back to its feet with a dex check.
Yeah, I think since she's going to be using the pinning, then I should definitely use the armor break.
Okay.
Opposed to just making my current special attack, Rage Wind, stronger, which I so infrequently have even used that at this point.
It did a lot of damage against that Hydra.
It did, but I feel like since I already have that's done a lot of damage, doing something that will make an enemy weak or something we have not had access to yet at all.
For sure.
So I think I'm going to do that. Dude, is that cool with you guys, Matt?
Yes.
Yeah?
That sounds good.
So I'm going to do the armor break. So now that just gets added to my traditional standard weapon attack.
No, that is another
It's an
special
additional
attack.
Okay. But I roll a 1d8 just like I do for my traditional
For
Warhammer?
sure.
Okay, sweet. And this is just an armor break is what that's. Sweet.
For Matson, your choices are Bloodletter. Matson strikes with only one blade for standard damage, but as the strike lands, he expertly twists the knife. The enemy now takes -1 of bleeding damage every time it attacks until death, unless it cures the bleeding status.
Nice.
The D20 roll will affect your chance of bleeding. Or we have Blind. Matson collects dirt along his journey. During battle, he tosses the dirt in the enemy's eyes. Blinding reduces accuracy until it wears off. D20.
Like in Bloodsport.
Yeah. D20 roll
that reference.
affects your chance of blinding.
See, I have to think about which move sounds cooler to say because I like to say all my attacks out loud like an anime before I do them.
I don't know. Do you think there's any value, Matt, in adding power just to your regular additional attack? Or is that, do you just want something new? Because I kind of want something new, but I don't know. I'm just putting a question out there.
Tough.
I will say
all
this.
3 options are.
I will say this. I just see this perfect scenario in my head where we all roll for initiative and it's Adeline, Junk, Matson, and then the enemy. And Adeline hits with the pin, and then I break armor, and then you stab to do bleeding damage, and then they don't successfully get up from her, and we get to all go around again while he's still bleeding.
Yeah, you just all hold hands singing a song.
Yeah, as
in
we
a circle.
we ring around the rosy, murdering the son of a bitch. That song, everybody knows that song.
Which is how I've always wanted to die. So that's perfect.
I mean, that would be my vote for that thing, but. It is fun, just the visual of you chucking sand at people. It's such a Matson thing to do.
It really is.
We're like in a metal cage somehow, and I find sound.
Yeah.
That's why I say collects along the journey, because honestly, throwing dirt in the enemy's eyes is something that any of you can do at any time.
Sure.
You just unless there's no dirt available, which is why this is a special move.
Good point.
Right.
Well, now that you said that, I'm just gonna be throwing dirt everywhere.
I am going to go with Bloodletter. I like that.
Great. Sweet.
That's cool.
And here's a question though: is that the effect of my move is armor break, but that's not the name of the move.
No, you can call it whatever you guys can all call your moves whatever you want.
Move names, Matt. We get to yell out move names. I don't have anything. I don't know. Maybe we need to come up with that.
Yeah, I want to think of something cool, but
Well, you know what? We'll all
what
save
if
that.
the listeners decide?
I don't want to give them that power.
Okay.
We don't know who these people are. Who knows what they'll come up with?
I do have a question about Bloodletter.
For sure.
So is that, let's say I try to do that and I fail, then I don't get any like attack or anything like that?
What do you mean?
Like, let's say I try to do that and I fail.
Uh-huh.
Is that's my entire turn? Like I don't get any hit points on them, no damage points against the enemy or anything like that?
You will get the damage for your standard attack, but they just won't be bleeding.
Okay, so it's an add-on to my normal
Yeah.
attack. Okay, cool.
And that's actually an additional question that I have is how does specifically, I mean, for each of us, how does it work? Is it a 2-turn attack as well, or is it just your initial attack plus this?
These are just you're calling out that you're doing this because sometimes basically these are special attacks that are scenario based, where it's like you might not be fighting an opponent that's wearing armor at all, or
I guess I meant like, does this cost 2 turns?
Is there a different die that's
Nope.
needed?
Okay.
Cool.
Sweet. All right, so 1 turn, ammo.
Yeah, you guys can
Not
spam the hell out of
applicable.
these if you.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's like you fight a band of monks in flowing robes. They can all be pinned to the ground very easily.
Nice. Let's hope that happens.
All right.
Right
So I'm
on.
healthier, I'm a little sneakier, and I got a cool new move.
Yeah, and you can look forward to your next level up at 3,000.
Oh my.
That actually provides me another question. Based on the hit points that we got at the end of the last episode, are we at level 2 0, or did we get level 2 plus?
Plus whatever the
Crap.
rollover was.
Do you remember that number? Anybody remember that number? Did anybody write it
What's
down?
the question?
How many experience points did we get at the end of last episode?
1485.
That's how many? No.
That's total.
How many
I
did
have
we get?
500.
Oh,
I have
okay.
500 written down.
we're at 145 out of now 3,000.
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
Yes.
So we are at 485 experience points.
Great.
Level 1. Oh no! I see what you're saying.
No, I think the experience points stay the same, and now we've increased the
get it.
total that we have to meet.
I understand how games work.
Uh-huh.
I
What?
get it.
Now let poor Matt use the bathroom.
All right.
Yeah.
Please.
How'd it go, Matt?
Great.
Yeah?
Everything went great.
Everything come out good?
Yep.
Perfect. This chapter, I think, was our most successful as far as not screwing up,
Yeah.
fighting good fights,
Mm-hmm.
accomplishing a goal
Yes.
Yep.
compared to some of our previous transgressions, I assume.
I think not only did we do well, we did some good also.
Yeah.
In killing.
Yeah, this was an evil
Solcian.
bastard.
Yeah.
Yeah, Solcian and Grunvilda.
Right.
Grunvilda and her sons, those 2 guys that we fought in the dungeon
Oh, the gimps.
were her gimp sons.
I really
Mhm.
appreciated the placement of your tags in the Instagram photo on your page.
Oh yeah,
Like Jake being one and Matt being the other.
and you
and
were
me being the
Grunvilda, yeah.
Grunvilda. Yes. It was
Yeah.
great.
So I don't know if we've talked
This is
about it.
accurate.
I don't know if we've talked about any of these roundtables yet, but all of our our episode art is all done by Paul Bianchi, and you do fantastic
Yeah,
jobs.
those
It's
are
all
so
awesome.
cool.
It's all watercolor. and
Yeah.
ink.
Yeah, I have a pad of watercolor paper that is I think like 6 by 4. So
tiny.
they're small little
Oh, wow.
sheets.
It's like photo, like that old school photo size.
And anyone who knows me knows that I write really small, but I also enjoy using very tiny brushes and painting very small.
Gotcha.
Oh.
And so I lay down in front of the TV and turn on something that I don't have to pay attention to. Currently, it is that CW show, The 100, which is
Sure.
if you enjoy it, kudos. There's a lot to enjoy, but it's also very campy,
Right.
And so I'm okay not looking
CW.
at the screen the entire time. And yeah, I
That's
really
even more impressive. It's so tiny.
Right.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, those are great.
But yeah, so what Alexander's referencing, of course, is that on his
It's
Instagram,
amazing art.
he posted not just on the D&DW Instagram, but on the Paul Bianchi on Instagram. He posts them usually the mornings they come out, and you made me and Matt the gimps.
I did.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that I don't approve.
No,
No,
I think
I
you
think-
I'm
should.
fine with it.
I think.
Although Matt's is really funny because it's the one that's like really sassy looking.
Would you consider them sassy? Those guys. What were their names? Were Hedon and what?
Hedon and Grotto.
Hedon and Grotto. I don't think either of them were.
They were
sassy.
themed like a WWE tag team.
Right. Oh my god, they totally were from 1998.
Yeah.
And
Gernvilda was their manager.
Yeah, they were the tag team that Vince thought of when the Gimp from Pulp Fiction was popular.
Uh huh.
Because everybody knows Vince McMahon likes to take something from pop culture and hey, let's make a team that looks like whatever the popular movie is right now. That's who they were. But anyways, they had dildo clubs apparently.
All I said was use your imagination, and I guess that's what your imagination came up with, sicko.
Didn't you use a gnome with a dildo inside of
Not
him
intentionally. I was trying to just break
as a weapon?
I tried to break a little piece of that machine.
Clumsy caveat really didn't play into effect very well.
Can I just say it was way worse on the gnome?
It really was, yeah.
Because ultimately, he bit me. I shoved my thumb in his mouth, which is really gross. But other than that,
I feel like he should have been here for that.
Yeah. What was his name? That was
Endry.
See, and we never learned. Maybe when next time we have Orny on the round table, we'll ask Orny what his history is with Endry. We should write that down to make sure we do that because that's
I can take a guess.
Yeah.
He gave Orny discounts at the whorehouse.
Yeah.
At the whorehouse.
The what?
As in that's where they know each other.
Oh,
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And they're exploits.
The before house, before it was Grenvilda's. What else happened in this on chapter 3 that
Brendan
was a standout moment?
Delightfully played Idyllwyl.
Yeah.
Brought him to
out
life.
of nowhere.
Yeah, Brendan was first off, Paul, did you always know that you were going to have a guest become Idyllwyl?
I didn't until I discovered how infrequently Idyllwyl was being utilized.
So you did it as a punishment for Adeline.
I wouldn't say a punishment, but I don't like stories with major plot holes or loose ends, and the fact that he was introduced as someone who exists,
right,
but then wasn't used in the prologue, barely mentioned any time in the first 2 chapters. I was like, I don't think that this is a perk that Adeline even enjoys exploiting, because her character being good and not and feeling uncomfortable with the
relationship,
having a former servant be bound to her.
Right.
If you were playing someone who was evil, you'd be like, get over here.
I would have been all over that.
I send Idyllwyl over to pick up poop off the ground.
He probably would have died like chapter 1 in that scenario.
Yeah.
I like that in this scenario, she's an evil woman, but enough courtesy to pick up poop off of the ground.
But it was my poop.
Yeah. She's a flavor of love girl who just poos everywhere. That's a deep cut reference.
That is a really deep cut reference.
Yeah.
But anyways, I love the choice. I was so
that was
the
really
second, because we didn't know that he was playing Idyllwyl until
surprise.
It happened.
Until he said,
Yeah.
Well, Brendan and I perform at Second City together often, and he is also a musical improviser on a team called The Sound of Musical. And so as soon as, I believe it was you, Matt, who said, I would love to hear that song, The Bricklayer's Lament.
Yeah. I'd love for you guys to sing it in unison.
Yeah,
at the same time,
and then Jake goes, isn't there a second, or do you know a second verse?
Yeah, and that's
Paul's
totally
face
a musical improvise exercise.
Right, yeah.
Musical improv exercise. So we made eye contact, and anything
Mind
that you guys...
melded.
Yeah, everything that you guys listened to was clearly...
Yeah.
Right.
That was my favorite thing ever.
Yeah, that was so good.
On one hand, I'd say clearly made up on the spot, but on the other hand, because we have both done this before, it turned out probably better than anyone who was just like, this is my first time doing this ever.
If
Well, I
Jake
got to
and I
listen
did it.
to the lyrics, when I actually listened to the episode, I was like, wow, the lyrics actually make sense and are kind of cool.
For the one for the Bricklayers Lament?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was something about a wall and on the other side.
Yeah, that was the first thing. We put up
But it
these
made
walls.
sense.
Like, wow, that actually is
It was,
great.
it was kind of
Yeah.
poetic for the title of the song.
Yeah, it's like beyond these walls, we dream of better days or something.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Oh, very good stuff.
But also really dark and sad.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, can I just say too? I love the fact that we finally had a bard in the party.
Yes.
So
So fun. I loved the songs.
Yeah, songs are super fun.
Granted, he's not. He wasn't. Fiero wasn't a battle bard, which is totally something that is utilized in
right. Yeah,
in
he did.
RPGs
He wasn't able to heal us or save us in any sort of scenario.
He didn't.
But he healed the
play a
battle in
song
our
of
hearts.
Hastening. Yeah.
He healed our cold dead hearts with love.
Yeah.
And can we say that
Their love story.
this episode, their love story.
It's so sweet.
There are a few sweeter love stories that involve somebody saying the word intercourse as much as Brendan did. And Brendan's absolute favorite, like the Idyllwyl has a catchphrase. It's "You want to fuck us? Well, we're gonna fuck you." That's he said it to every single.
He's very
enemy.
Sicilian.
Or and then he would just switch a word, like "You want to bone us? We're gonna bone you." Like no matter what it was the same formula.
Actually, you know what that reminds me of is something Job would do.
Job? From
Yeah.
Yeah, Idyllwyl had a little Job in him from
way more
Arrested
awkward.
Development?
Yeah, for Arrested Development.
Gotcha.
He was part Job, part Buster. He was so good at that
Part
character.
Data.
And it was so random, absolutely random.
Yeah, I love the dryness. Like the way I envisioned Idyllwyl, I feel like he brought a lot of that to life. And then the things that he added, I was like, great. It all met my expectations and then some. It was great.
Yeah.
And I was so grateful that he became a character and then had a great storyline and left. Because, I was having such a struggle with, okay, I have this servant, but I don't want to boss this guy around. So
Right.
I liked that when they saw each other again, they weren't instantly
Right.
friends.
Oh, yeah, it was so subtle.
There was a little bit of tension
was a
between
path.
them, and they weren't
well,
totally happy with how the other one was living their life. That was cool.
As Orny pointed out, Fiero had a lot in him.
Yeah, so many people inside of it.
Well, and one thing I was very happy to bring to life with this episode, and very grateful to Brendan that he was willing to play along, is I think that very, very often, if anyone's played any other campaigns with different sorts of people, I've played some campaigns with despite the fact that we were playing Dungeons and Dragons or a game of the like, for some reason we're all jocks and very particular about the sorts of people that exist in the land, and the sexuality exists but only among women. And I think that I felt very proud to bring to life a
cartoonish, ridiculously over-sexualized homosexual couple.
I
I'm busting your balls.
I would resist that because I think that
I thought
certainly
they had depth.
certainly because
At depth, but it was allowed to be
even though
funny
fun,
too. Which all the relationships are funny.
Yeah, but I also think that Fiero, you can understand someone who was born into slavery and has zero means moving into a sex trade just to
Fun
get
team.
by.
I mean, you just do
Yeah.
what you do.
And beyond that, I feel like even though that was his profession, their relationship in itself. I mean, I've known Brendan for a long time, and we we tapped into something
kicked it up a notch.
very, very sweet, and it felt genuine.
It was, I will say this. I appreciated the commitment, being that this is an audio podcast, that you guys actually made out in that one scene. In the room here in the Dragon's Den.
I would have been disappointed.
Full tongue.
At the very least, there was uncomfortable, unwavering eye contact.
There was so much.
Yeah, Idyllwyl is
There
very
was
serious man.
So much eye contact.
Elf.
And Brendan he's a good looking dude. Can we just say that a good guy played Idyllwyl? Because Brendan's a good looking dude, and I could see him
He
cosplaying
wishes
as
that
his
he
character.
was here right now to receive that compliment from you.
he honestly, it's very rare, I think, that anybody who's playing D&D sort of resembles their character. And I was like, you know what? Give him like long hair and pointy ears. Like he looks like he could have been an elf, a handsome elf man.
He is built like an elf.
He's one of those dudes who's fit and whatnot. But he has an intense face. When there was a picture that was posted to the D&DW Instagram, followed at D&DW Pod Instagram, and it was literally just him looking at camera, but he is like burning a hole straight through the lens of the iPhone camera.
He is not here to mess around.
Very intense. No. There was also another little thing about that relationship that I thought was kind of fascinating that I didn't notice while playing. And I think that's a really fun part about doing D&D as a podcast is every D&D game I've ever played, I'm sure there's been so much shit that I've missed that like in the moment it just goes by.
Yeah.
And then it's gone.
Absolutely.
And getting to like relive it and really dissect it as I go through and sort of add the production layer over the show.
By the way, nice sound effect on pinching Idyllwyl's nipple was usually my favorite sound effect added in the show. Yeah.
But there's some little fun subtle things, and that is we learned that Fiyero was sold by Adeline's family to another person. Okay, he was sold by Adeline's aunt to a different slaver.
Yeah.
Yet every time Idyllwyl refers to that incident, he calls it "you were taken."
Mm-hmm.
You were taken. I don't know why that was so poetic to me, but yeah, I don't know.
They had the hibiscus tree and
the hibiscus.
their
There was so
whole
much
paradise.
detail to that story. What were some other standout moments for you guys from chapter 3?
Storyline element, it got a little brushed over due to sometimes just not a lot happens in a podcast, and so we summarize.
The temple you're talking about.
But yes, I'm talking about the Temple of Amok and the large footprint that is.
Ooh,
I'm just gonna say metagame is proof of
Question
this.
mark?
Of this, because
This
you know
giant
there's
god.
it is that an actual footprint that of this giant god, or was it fabricated?
Right.
Did someone make this imprint?
Yeah, in the beginning of 3.2, you're talking about we spent in real time. We spent, I want to say, almost an hour or like 40 something minutes in this temple, and the whole point was like we need to hurry to this guy and get his carriage so we can get out of town.
Yeah,
and we just spent so much time. And it was
what's that over there?
one of those instances where everybody who's ever played D&D or role playing game has fallen into this, where you start looking at your party members and being like, "Are we still here?" And it was one of those where, for the sake of entertainment, we summarized it and cut it down. But yeah, we learned all about the god of Amok, who's, you said his story, if I can remember this, was that he was a giant who was frozen and broken into millions of pieces, and those individual pieces became
became humanity, right?
Yeah, became the race of man according to this religion that devotes itself to Amok.
Right.
Yeah.
And something that we didn't add into that summary, again because of time, was that the priests had his wife, or the sovereign father, or whatever. What did you call him again?
Oh, the revered father.
The revered father had his wife his deceased wife in a casket just in the temple.
Yeah.
And when asked why his deceased wife is still just in a casket leaning on a wall, he explained to us that because they believe they are all a piece of Amok in some small way, that they don't bury or burn their dead, because eventually they think that the pieces might all get back together. I don't remember that part. But
that was
that.
the idea behind idea behind it, is that, you know, when you pass, then your body will maybe one day magic will restore him, and all of those body parts will just like fly towards, make a giant corpse monster for a second, and then form into the
god of Amok.
The god Amok,
very cool.
I also love that we had a chase scene in an episode, because that's a tough
Yeah.
thing to pull off
with
in
the
energy of it is challenging,
that
I
was
think,
cool.
on audio, but
Right.
I think we pulled it off, and the music's great.
I love the fact that we were like chased by these ghost creatures, and that, by the way, it interrupted like a great moment,
Yes.
like right as we was
Hero's
about to say, I love you,
you.
and an axe comes flying through it. It was
Very
super.
Whedon-esque.
That was a really fun little sequence.
Well, you guys were all chased, but Fiyero certainly wasn't.
No.
Oh, boom. Dual meaning.
And then we found another rock that we thought might replace Matsun's, and it
Right.
broke the second
And
you
it
touched
broke.
it.
Yep.
Broke, but I caught you. You didn't fall.
Yeah, thank you.
And then we
Which
were
means Orny did get rained on.
Yeah, Orny did.
No. I handed it off to Idyllwyl, and he said sure to hold the cover over Orny. So.
Yeah, but as soon as the battle started, Orny
Oh,
got
come on.
rained
I
on.
wasn't. Yeah.
Orny was being a real pill about that rain.
And he doesn't like
He's like,
rain or wind.
consider-
He's
or,
actually like the Wicked Witch of the East, you know?
Well, considering we were just in the rain for so much longer right before it, he had his fill. He was
Yeah.
like, I've had
He's
enough.
little.
Oh, maybe that's why. Maybe the puddle started getting too deep.
Aw.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm gonna drown.
His glasses started to fog, you know.
Oh, I know that. That's
My glasses
the
are
struggle is
foggy.
real. But then we had our
This Hydra.
we had our fight with the Hydra, and can I say, hands down, we that was a great fight. I think there was only one massive misstep, and that was Idyllwyl trying to shove a torch up his ass.
As Idyllwyl does.
And he accidentally critical failed, and so he like jumped over him and into his throne accidentally.
Yeah, he did a one-handed cartwheel
Right.
and just went too far. And also, of course, Matson did an air cartwheel. There were two cartwheels.
acrobatics.
On that fight. Yeah.
And I got to take credit. I mean, like, Junk finally used his rage wind.
Oh, to
And-
great effect. Yeah.
And I mean, that was the
Right.
most damage. I think I did something like 28 or something like that, 30
Yeah.
damage.
That's right.
And I feel like for the first time, I did my job. Like, I finally, like, Junk filled his
Yeah.
role in the party instead of being the guy that starts the fight and then
Right.
gets mortally wounded in some capacity and then moves on. But
No,
al-
you kicked ass.
also,
And I defied all rules of physics and nature.
with the arrow on fire,
As you do.
didn't make any sense.
It makes perfect sense.
I remember when you explained what you were going to do. There
I
was
know
one
all
of
of your faces were like,
it was one of those silent things where we all looked at each other like, do you get what she's saying? Do you get? No, I don't get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I have no idea what you're saying. When you decided that you were going to fire an arrow through fire.
Yeah.
In hopes that it would
Catch on fire.
Bring that fire to like fire is just like a hitchhiker with its thumb out.
Yeah.
yeah,
Um
that's how it works.
And it worked.
yeah, I don't know.
She rolled high. It happened.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, it was an awesome battle. We annihilated that dude. Any
Yeah.
other standout moments that you recall, or like stuff that you were like, oh, that sucked. Why did we do that?
I thought there was gonna be more sex in the sex house,
For real though.
Oh,
but
you mean
okay.
with us?
Well, I
With the
think it was.
group?
I think it was happening around us. I didn't realize in the moment.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I was gonna go
you-
talk to some strippers and stuff, and then realized we had already gone past that area.
Yeah, you had the option entirely to you walked past several
Excuse
rooms
yourself.
where
Can I
sex
just
was
say-
occurring.
Can I
Yeah,
just
that was
say
my own fault.
I love the sincerity of Matt. Like, I just thought that there would be more sex. Sincere moment just now.
Oh, we're in the sex house.
No, it's
Might as
true.
well see.
Well, I mean, we saw that one dude tickling, and I kind of regret when we did open the door to the guy who had all the toys, and we saw him being tickled by two dwarven women.
Uh-huh.
I sort of regret as Junk not being like, hey, what's going on in here, guys? And just like walking in and like, oh, you got a little, and grabbing a feather and just like being a general guy who doesn't understand.
You were understandably shaken or shocked by that moment of the sight of what or
Sure.
it's.
I
it's
feel
a
like
lot
Junk
to
hasn't
take
gotten
in.
a lot of action.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wonder
little
if
baby.
I wonder if Junk's lack of like understanding social cues also like was the same in his own like village or tribe or whatever. Like, was he just as annoying then, or was it something he picked up from the rest of his people?
You'll have to ask him next time he's on.
Yeah.
Next time Junk is
Have you
on
always
the
been
round
this
table.
annoying, Junk?
Yeah, next time he's on the round table, you have to ask him.
There's Alexander and I have both played the game Dragon Age,
Mhm.
and in that first game series, there's a bordello in that, and you can ask the madam. She says, "Do you want men or do you want
Right.
women?" And then you choose one of them, and they don't show you anything, of course, but it's like you choose from this lineup. But you can also say, "Surprise me," and then like the screen goes dark. And then I believe it opens back up, and there's a dwarf wearing a like a big hairy dwarf man wearing a woman's
Like
bodice.
Bustier? Oh, right. right.
And then also in the room are two chickens, and you just wake up and you're like, and I think the dwarf's like, yeah, that was good for me too, or whatever. And then you just like you leave, and you're just left with a bunch of questions.
Perfect.
And that's what I imagined
Questions
going
or
on.
answers?
That's what I
That's a
imagine
perfect description.
going
yeah.
on in
those
Madame
rooms.
Corbelia's house.
Yeah. Chickens.
One of the
Et
ones
cetera.
that I knew was happening in there was definitely something going on with source magic and ghost sex
Oh,
was
see, 'cause
definitely
you know,
occurring in one of those
you know what it
rooms.
was? I think that from a gameplay standpoint, we in that moment we were tasked with two options.
Yeah,
Right? It was
Right.
like we go talk to Grinvilda or we go upstairs and look for the guy's stuff.
yeah.
And I think whenever we get tasked with that, it's hard for us to like just do a third thing, which is it's a gameplay thing where we have to remember that that's an option.
Sure.
Sometimes, but also we were like, oh, we got to go do this thing. So we were sort of like, we let Paul take us through the hallway instead of us walking through the hallway. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think is an interesting, like, it's an interesting gameplay mindset that you fall into especially with a DM like Paul who has every detail thought out or written or whatever and drawn.
At least at this point.
Yeah, actually,
at least he makes it seem like he does.
Right. Yeah.
I regret not asking more, just because, and I think that's something I'd be carrying with me moving forward. It's just like, there's so much detail, so we should be taking advantage of it.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. All in all, I think that chapter 3 was the most successful chapter we've had.
For sure.
On all accounts.
I think if you guys are looking for evidence of how much I enjoy voicing Orny, one of my favorite moments, just because whenever I improvise and it surprises me, that's what I really enjoy.
When you go, I said that.
Yeah, and it was when we pulled out the letter from Doran Pendergrass, and then we pulled out the play.
Right.
And I believe, Adeline, you asked me, is it good about the play? And I just was like, no. But like in his voice.
Yeah.
And I was very tickled to listen to that again, because it was definitely like that decision of like, does Orny think this is good?
Right.
No, he does not.
Because he has read many erotic plays. He's kind of a connoisseur of erotic fiction.
He's a theater goer and
by the way, if you haven't heard Sir Tom Tim's Tallywhacker, which is the erotic play that we found in chapter 3.1, it is on the website. If you go to if you go to D&DWpod.com, you'll see it. It's just in the, our website is just structured like a blog, and every post is just above the last one, and you can just scroll down and see it.
And I have to say that I'm the first to admit that it's definitely an homage to the play that you can pick up and read.
The Lusty Argonian?
The Lusty Argonian made in several of the... I think it's existed since... I don't know how... I know it's existed at least from Morrowind. Like, it's been around in that Elder Scrolls series.
Elder Scrolls series, right on. But
sometimes the Lust story is so good, you don't need to rewrite it.
Yeah. I wonder what the listeners' favorite moment of the thing was.
They should let us know.
Yeah, let's go to the phones. Caller? Oh, we don't have that technology? Oh, my bad. Sorry. I thought we had that technology.
One day.
I have a question for Paul.
Yeah.
I think you played the most D&D out of all of us here.
Sure.
Have you ever played, so in all the games I've played, and I think what the normal thing to do is like, oh, I want to do this thing. And you say, okay, roll to see if you're successful. You're never told like you need to roll at least this to be successful. And I prefer it that way. I understand why you don't want to say, but have you ever played a campaign where you're told like, okay, I'll let you do this, but you have to roll a 16, you have to roll a 17?
Yeah, I have played campaigns where that occurs, but I feel like there's so much to think about that I'm always like, I would just rather be told whether or not I'm successful. There is something that we haven't done yet in this campaign, which is a take 20. Which is where like, hey, if you wanted to pick a lock and you had all the time in the world, we're not in the middle of battle, you could just say, I want to take 20 to pick this lock, and that means that you're taking
literally
20 tries and meaning that you will be successful eventually. But yeah.
I have played in campaigns like that too, where you knew what you needed to do in that moment, and it's a double-edged sword because one, you like, it's that excitement of like, oh, he's gonna do it, yeah, he did it, but then you lose any excitement from what the dungeon master says. Once that roll happens, that's 12, it doesn't matter what the dungeon master says at that point. It's like, oh, so it sort of takes some of the storytelling out of the story, where it's more about like, oh, I want to do this, you do it or you don't do it, versus you kind of do it, or like, there's an instance where I think I want to do something very specific, and I did that specific thing to a certain amount, based on because it wasn't like you have to roll plus 15 to do this and less 15 doesn't do it. Instead, it's more of a sliding scale where a 16 will do it, but not perfectly. Whereas a 17 or 18 or 19, that whatever. Obviously, I picked the high number as an example, which is poor, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Also, like thinking about the perfume that Firo left Adeline with, it's an effect perfume, but still she will have to roll to see how it will work on other people.
The defenses they have.
Yeah, and the people will have different defenses for how lonely they are, how basely attracted they are to someone who might look like Adeline. That will affect their base score of what she needs to overcome in order for that perfume to work.
Right, sweet. That was the other thing too. Is you also got a new ring,
Yeah, so
which is
Idyllwyl
had
very
on him.
sweetly gifted me his ring of the faceless man, so I'm 50% less noticeable to enemies.
Which was a nice little touch, Paul. Like, that's why when we did have Idyllwyl around, we always forgot he was there.
Yeah.
So that ended up really being my perk.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't think I put two and two together. That's pretty funny.
Oh, you didn't realize that in the moment?
Maybe, I don't remember. Either way, it's funny.
That. Well, anyways, it was a super, super fun chapter. My favorite one so far, and I love playing this game so much. It's so fun. Do you guys want to give away a game box?
Yeah.
No. Okay, sure.
I
Paul,
guess.
you're still hung up on the fact that I won't let you win one. All right, so this is how it works. It is our Game Box Monthly giveaway. Thank you so much to Game Box Monthly for allowing us to do this every round table. We are giving away free 1 month classic subscription, which essentially equals one free tabletop game. Game Box Monthly sends unique tabletop games every month, so a 1 month subscription equals one game. All you have to do to win is leave a review on iTunes. You are automatically entered to win, and then listen to these roundtable episodes in between chapters and find out if you won. The winner is chosen at random, and you can only win once. So I'm sorry, Dill Mister and Twisted 2.0, who are our first two winners, one and done. You're not eligible anymore. But if you have left a review for weeks and you don't win, you are still eligible to win future ones. It's not like you have to do it the week of these roundtables or any of that sort of nonsense. Regardless, just do it. The show is brand new, and so your odds of winning are great. Literally, I think the first guy who won was one of only two people who had left a review at that point. So it helps us out greatly to leave reviews on iTunes. It'll allow the show to grow organically, find organic listeners, put us higher in iTunes ratings when people search Dungeons & Dragons, or they just search for a podcast that's similar to role-playing games. It's a win-win. So with that said, are you guys ready to announce the winner?
Yep.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Jay Strick.
Yay!
Yay!
J-S-T-R-I-C. I don't know if it's like Jay Strick or if it's Strick or if it's just J-S-T-R-I-C. But thank you so much. Jay Strick left a fantastic review telling us all about how our show reminds him or her, I'm not sure, reminds them of playing D&D when they were younger. Also, they said that they were a Myth Understood listener who came over from Myth Understood, Paul's show that he does with Sarah Oliver. So thank you so much for joining us. Paul, you have something you want to say to that?
Yeah. Jay, if that's what you go by in real life, I would like to thank you for following me over to another podcast. As much as I love Greek mythology, I am a storyteller first and foremost in my life, and getting to DM this podcast is a wonderful treat that I get to do weekly. So thanks to you, and thanks also, of course, to Matt, Alexandra, and Jake for allowing me to take them on a voyage.
All right, listen, this isn't about us. Stop trying to make it sentimental. This is about Jay Strick winning a Game Box Monthly. Now the good part. In order to claim your 1 month classic subscription to Game Box Monthly, you have to shoot us an email at contact@dndwpod.com. Once again, that's contact@dndwpod.com. You have 3 weeks, so essentially until the next roundtable comes out, until the Chapter 4 roundtable comes out, you have to email us, and we'll tell you from there how to claim it. We couldn't be more appreciative of Game Box Monthly for letting us do this giveaway. Game Box Monthly sends a unique tabletop game right to your door every single month. There are multiple subscriptions to choose from, and you can personalize them to fit your style. So whether you're looking to bring the family together for a weekly game night, you're a couple looking for the best stay-at-home date idea, or maybe you're just looking for a great new way to spend a night with your awesome friends, Game Box Monthly has got you covered. And it's fantastic because maybe you're a fan of the hobby of tabletop games, but it's really daunting. There are so many new games out there. Signing up for GameBoxMonthly.com lets you focus on what matters most, having great times with great people while they do the shopping. So check out GameBoxMonthly.com, and whether you've won a box from us or you haven't and you just think this sounds great, you can go there and subscribe right now to any of their subscription tiers and amounts and use the promo code DRAGON and you will get an exclusive discount just for Dragon Wagon Radio and Dungeons and Dragon Wagon listeners. Again, that's promo code DRAGON. So check out GameboxMonthly.com right now and rediscover social. Thank you so much to Gamebox Monthly for letting us do that. Now, I think that there is a lovely young woman waiting in the wings for us to have a couple words with. You guys want to get to it?
Yeah.
Yeah, though I have to use the restroom.
Oh, okay.
I'll be back.
Oh, hello. Thank you so much for joining us. It's Adeline, correct?
That's correct.
What a delightful curtsy you did right as you entered.
Oh, thank you.
It was impressive, especially because she managed to not hit her bow on the ground,
Yeah.
which is really hard to do when you have that bow on your back.
I'm nothing if not graceful. Certainly.
That's very, very true. Adeline, your full name is Adeline?
Adeline Summers.
Adeline Summers. What a lovely
Adeline
name.
Rose Summers, actually.
And Adeline, you come from a noble family.
I did, yes.
You did come from a noble family. I mean, you still come from a noble family.
Sure. I mean, what is nobility?
Wow. Oh my gosh. This just got, shit just got real. Pardon my French.
It's just blood.
But your experience within your family was not great.
No.
We learned recently that your family were king and queen, I assume?
Yes. King and queen of Biteport.
Of Biteport. And they did not treat their citizens.
No, they were wretched people.
Absolutely wretched people.
Terrible.
And what was the catalyst for you leaving?
I mean, I should have left as soon as I could walk, but, I had my brother, so that helped. But, yeah, and the catalyst was definitely when they started using all of the lower classmen and their children as basically human shields as Biteport was in the crossfire of the war. So
Of the Great War of the North between
Yes.
the desert folk and the Shadow Elves.
yes.
And so your family forced the people of their village to essentially
Yes.
just stand guard? Like what do you mean
No,
by a
fight.
human shield?
Just fight.
they were
Just
forced
stand
to fight.
guard on the on the perimeter and
But they were not
with
warriors.
no, I mean they had pitchforks and
Why
they're in seafaring equipment.
Oh.
Where
Where were your family's like royal guard? Where were the knights of the land?
enforcing those lower classmen to stay outside of
Really?
the perimeter.
Well, allow me to interject as someone who's I'm sort of a historian of these lands. I'm very
Yes.
interested in them. And
yeah, Paul actually vacations in Rymore quite often.
Yeah,
in the lands
Oh, how
north
He's got a timeshare.
to the north. Yeah, he's got a timeshare. up
Yeah,
north.
even then, the lands to the north, Biteport, to my understanding, is a free city. A free city doesn't mean that there is no slavery, unfortunately. It just means that it is not subject to a great larger kingdom. It means that it's its own solitary city with
Right.
its own king and queen. And so I can only understand that if they had a connection with or an opportunity to side with desert folk, that they're not going to give up their nobles. Knights are nobles, correct, in Biteport?
That's correct.
Yeah. So of
Yes.
course, yeah, they're going to give the poor people as
course.
fodder. That's
Right. So-
terrible.
Absolutely.
We learned recently that you saved these people.
I mean, I don't like to use terms like that because it paints me as some kind of hero. But I mean,
modest.
I couldn't abide by that. Certainly, by my parents using these people as shields.
So in what way did you free them?
Actually, I don't know if you know Idyllwyl. He was
Yes.
he's my friend. He was
Yes.
my servant. I grew up with him.
Yeah, he was
and
a freak
I suppose. I mean, I support
in a
anyone.
good way. Oh, in a good way.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
yeah. He said it. Those were his own words. He was
Okay.
one. I think he said his own words were he was one freaky bitch.
Oh, I do think he said that.
He said that. Yeah, he said he was a freaky bitch.
Well, freaky bitch he is then. So with the help of Idyllwyl and various other, elven people and lower classmen, we just kind of organized secretly, discussing like how we would get out, in what way, what we needed. And a lot.
Did you just flee from the incoming war? Since you said that they were caught in the crossfire, right? Did you just leave?
I mean,
essentially?
there's lulls in that,
Right.
and
Sure,
certainly they're not
sure.
always in Byteport at all times. So we just organized once we got proper intel and, got out.
Wow.
And I locked my parents in the tower.
So I kind of have... Wait, you locked your parents in a tower? Hang on.
I mean, they were up there anyway, so I just locked them up there.
Wow. And so do you know if they're just still there as far as you know?
I'm sure they got out.
What were their names? Is Rose from your mother?
Yes, actually, that's correct.
Wow, good guess.
Marie, her name is Marie Rose, and and then my father was Gaius.
Gaius Summers.
Yes.
So hang on a second. I don't know why it took me so long personally to put this together. You are indeed a princess.
I mean, are you if you run away from your kingdom that's several
isn't that how nobility works? Like you're just
miles
born
away?
Into it. You're born into princessdom.
I mean, I would wonder if Byteport still stands as a recognized kingdom after this point, but certainly your lineage would lead to you still being a princess in some circles.
Right.
Sure.
Well,
and what about your brother? You mentioned earlier, like, the only reason I can stay there was because of my brother. You said we've learned previously. We've done our research, by the way. We've got some insight.
you guys are so prepared.
Yeah, we learned about Charles.
Yeah, we learned all about Charles the Charming, as he was called by the ladies.
Yes.
Did you say that he died in the war? Not saving the people like you did, but he actually died on the battlefields of the Great War in the North.
Yes, he died on the battlefields. He, I wouldn't say voluntarily. My parents made him.
Well, I mean, you said that he was very brave. I doubt he...
Very brave. It's not like he put up much of a fight, but, in effort of good faith...
That's probably why he died. I'm sorry, that was insensitive.
In attempts to have the desert folk focus less of their attention in bringing Byteport into the crossfire.
Right.
He went off into the war, and then there was some sort of, I don't know, battle one day, and I don't know the full details. Unfortunately, everyone died in it, but my understanding is he kind of led the charge and
Interesting.
was one of the first to die.
Was he brought back home? Was his body brought back home? Sorry, I know this is probably hard for you to talk about, but I'm just curious. His remains?
Yeah, this is a very intense question.
Listen, I come from Long Island, all right? There's not a lot of like...
Is that an island that's very long?
Yeah, sure, it's long.
Weird.
But...
Yes, his remains were
okay.
returned.
I was just curious whether or not there's a possibility.
I mean,
that
we
this is just
cremate
our
dead.
Gotcha.
In fact, a bit of his ashes are in my amulet. So.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. We also learned that your brother taught you how to shoot a bow.
Yes, he taught me everything. Bow. I mean, he taught me swords, but I didn't take to that as well.
No. Why do you?
There's some kind of beast over here eating.
Oh, sorry, that's our cat, Clancy.
Oh, hello.
Clansford. He's also of noble birth.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's
worship
a princess.
Cats?
Yeah, and this is, you're not going to believe this, but he actually left his parents in a kitty tower.
Yeah. Kindred spirit.
Absolutely. I forgot what I was getting at. Oh, the bow. You're an excellent marksman.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. All from Charles.
What about like marksmanship? Why'd you pick that up?
Why?
Yeah, like what? Like why learn?
I mean, why
you're
not?
a princess. I'm sure you were going to be hooked up with some sexy prince at some point.
I mean, no, thank you.
No?
One, but two. I always wanted to fight.
You're not into dudes.
Not particularly.
Oh. Okay.
Oh yeah,
Damn it. That's kind of bums me out because if I could say you're very lovely, damn it.
Oh, thanks.
I thought I had a shot here.
Sorry.
Adeline, speaking of it, I asked Junk, and I know that Jake, you couldn't help but ask Orny about this, but are there any past loves, any romances in Adeline's life?
There was a girl once named Annie who I definitely had a bit of a crush on. We grew up together, and she was from the lower class, and I was just always so impressed because she always stood her ground and stood up against anyone, no matter their class, nobility, it didn't matter. And I think I definitely took away from her a lot of my courage.
Interesting.
To just not...
Annie, you said her name was?
Yeah.
Oh.
She was a couple years older than me, so she actually did the same and escaped Byteport shortly before we became in the crossfire, so I don't really know where she went.
Oh, so she could still be out there somewhere.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, maybe you'll cross paths again, much like Idyllwyl found Fiyero.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. That's really incredible.
I was wondering if, since there is magic up in the northern lands. Have you had any experience with using magic or any moments of magic in your past that
Actually, my father was rather obsessed with it, and as such, it kind of scares me, to be honest. He was always just in that tower, kind of tinkering around and trying to learn whatever was new, and I suspect trying to do things that aren't very good. So I remember once as a little girl, I went in there and he seemed to have like a cadaver of some sort, and it brought it back to life. And
wow,
I ran out. I was too scared. So
interesting.
Yeah,
wow. That is interesting.
I never really learned much from him. I don't know if that sort of thing runs in the blood too, but I haven't tried.
And have there been any altercations along the way in the journeys thus far that you have had feelings of fear or misgivings towards the actions that were taken? Any regrets, or do you feel pretty on point so far?
If I had any regrets, I would say those poor dwarves who had just a pitchfork and I don't remember
a wood block musical instrument.
A wood block, yeah. I felt a little guilty about that
Junk
one.
is so annoying with that wood block. Even when he was here in the studio, he was playing that stupid wood block.
I don't know. He's so excited by it. It's cute.
He's easily excited. I think he's an idiot.
Oh, that's not very nice.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't great men, but I'd rather have seen them in a prison than dead. But, otherwise, yeah.
So it's a rough land.
Pretty solid.
It's a rough land. Not a lot of prison space, I don't think.
Especially
Fair
with the cities themselves being destroyed.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
One might say all of Rymore is a prison. I got a question for you. What drew you to Junk and Matson? It's such a weird ragtag little crew. I know that you guys arrived in Rymore via a refugee
Providence.
ship. Yeah, the Providence. What drew you to those guys?
I think ever since losing Charles, I've kind of been trying to fill that void a bit. And so I really like being around guys, and I like Junk and Matson in particular, and Orny too, just because all of them have such distinct personalities, and they...
Do they?
Yes, they do. They really do. It's such a interesting experience, and I've really grown to love them, and I feel like I would be... I don't know where I'd be without them in this land. It's very insane here, quite frankly, and I feel grateful, You
didn't feel any innate standoffishness with Matson, considering being so close to a war with the Desert Folk and the Shadow Wolves. I know there aren't any warm feelings you feel towards the Desert Folk, but considering that your brother fought on their side, that likely...
Right, I see what you're getting at.
Yeah.
I mean, Charles always said... I mean, he gladly fought for the Desert Folk, but he never felt good about fighting against the Shadow Elves either, and kind of tried to instill in me that I shouldn't really have too many prejudices against them. So meeting Matson, not really. I could tell. I feel like he has a lot of good in him. I do. I mean, he's definitely obsessed with magic, which is familiar. But,
What do you know about Matson? What has he told you about his past?
I mean, he has a creepy ghost lady, but she's kind of cool. I mean, she's helped us out a lot.
Well, maybe you can ask him if it'd be okay for us to interview him next time.
I will.
We've reached out a few times, but he's
a little shy. He's a little
very standoffish.
I mean, he barely speaks to us. So.
He's completely blocked me on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter.
I don't know what that is. There's a book with faces.
Can I ask you about fire? I know that there's some sort of issue that you have with fire.
I mean, I'm not even sure I entirely understand it myself, but my family on my mother's side, we've always been particularly susceptible to fire. It just really hurts.
I mean, do you think it has something to do with the magic that your father was doing? You definitely think it's from your mom's side for sure?
I mean, she and my aunt, her sister, I mean, they've always had that problem. But...
I mean... I feel bad saying this or even inferring it, but royals are not known for great
inbreeding. Say it. I know what you're talking about. Inbreeding.
Yeah.
You're calling our guest an inbred. I apologize, Adeline.
I mean, I think they are like fifth cousins or something.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, Princess Summers, I apologize regardless for my cohort's actions here.
That's quite all right. I mean, he's right.
Well, Adeline, I gotta say, you're a very inspiring story.
Oh, thank you.
It's very interesting getting to know you a little bit better, getting to learn more about your history. The princess thing still kind of, it's something about that. I still feel like for somebody again, I come from from Deer Park, Long Island, the furthest thing from nobility.
There's a park of deers?
There's no deers in the entire town.
That's very confusing.
There's also like 2 parks, so it doesn't even make any sense. Regardless, as far as from nobility as possible, and I feel like somebody born who is a true princess to keep that a secret and to not put that out there. I don't know. I'm curious about that. I like to see kind of where that goes.
Are you suggesting I not keep it a secret?
Yeah, kind of. I feel like there are definitely times where maybe being a princess could, warrant you some favor. No,
but again, what does it mean? I mean, I'm in Rymore.
You're asking me. What does it mean to me?
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I guess we will.
I have to say, as a historian of these lands, I'm thrilled to discover this information.
Well, I mean, unless either of you guys have any other questions for our dear guest here, I think we should probably let her go.
Yes.
And get back to her party.
There's some pies with my name on it. I'm afraid Junk's going to eat them.
I wish you the absolute best of luck, and I hope that you'll come back and join us one day again sometime soon.
Absolutely.
Well, she was a delight, guys. Oh, Alexandra.
Hey, what's up?
How did that go? You all right?
I'm okay.
been there
I
for a
also
while.
had McDonald's earlier, and I'm just...
You're limping.
Yeah. Oh, that's the poop leg.
It's the
She
poop
gets
leg.
the poop leg.
Yeah,
Do you know when you're on the toilet for too long?
It's like a 20-minute long poop,
yeah.
Oh,
and
there are some nights where she comes out of that bathroom and you would think that she has shoved like a hockey stick down her pant leg the way that she's
It's both of my legs when it's me.
Yeah, well, you're 90 feet tall. I could assume that no toilet is covered. You probably can't even use a squatty potty.
I'm a natural squatty potty.
Your knees will hit the ceiling. Well, guys, we what a round table. We should
so round.
We should probably get an actual round table one day.
We
soon.
really should, instead of this rectangular coffee table.
Rectangular coffee table and a pop-up desk.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Please make sure you are following us on all social media at D&DW Pod. And for all sorts of fun bonus stuff, check out dndwpod.com. And hey, please rate and review us on iTunes. And you also could be just like Jay Strick and win a free 1-month classic subscription to Gamebox Monthly.
And if you're looking for more about the world of Rymore and the people who live within it, good news, everyone. Man,
Right, with the good news guy just ran through here. Did you guys see the good news guy?
Yeah.
Wow.
I loved his purple tuxedo.
Wonderful, yeah. There is a wonderful website called Fandom or Wikia, depending on your knowledge of it, and a Dungeons and Dragon Wagon Wikia has begun. It is very easy to find. It is dndw.wikia.com and
WIKIA, is that how it's spelled?
WIKIA, yeah.
Gotcha.
Right.
And people can add to that themselves, can they not?
Yeah, and that would be fantastic because there is so much that happens every single episode of these podcasts that's very hard to keep track of.
Right.
And
in fact, if you're out there and you've listened to every episode and you are like, hey, I know everything that's happened so far on this show and in these lands, reach out to us. Shoot us an email, contact@dndwpod. And tell us, hey, I know everything and I'm willing to help with this. And maybe we'll figure something out. Because if we had a specific person dedicated to it, that would be awesome.
oh yeah, love a good historian.
On behalf of everybody here, Chapter 4 is just around the corner. And we will see you next quest.
It's Dragon Wagon.